Is that your favorite ball, Ellie? Is that your favorite? You a good girl? You're a good girl, aren't you? Hello friends, Tracy and Ellie with The Great Adventures. Today we are going to have a little bit different kind of adventure. We are actually in the garden, and I've had some people ask me about some of the native plants. So I wanted to show you what I've got growing in my garden, some of the native plants and some that might not be native, but they are still good to include in a Central Florida garden, which is where I am. So come along with us and we're going to talk native plants. Hello, cutie. This poor thing, I think, must have had a really bad time in the storm yesterday. Bless his heart. He's just hanging on for dear life, drying off. I'm hoping he's going to be able to fly. He's got a chunk out of his wing there, a couple chunks. Might have been the storm, might have been the lizard. But hopefully he'll get out of here before the next storm rolls in. Alright, first up is this beauty right here. And this is porterweed. Blue porterweed is a native plant to Florida. This is actually not the blue variety. So it's not native, but there is one that you can get that is. This is an excellent pollinator plant. And if you can see, all the way along the stem, this will have flowers. They start at the bottom and then they keep opening up as it goes up the stem. So great for hummingbirds, for butterflies, for bees, and just a really beautiful addition to the garden. Blue porterweed is also the host for the tropical buckeye butterfly. And this plant is edible. You can eat the flowers. They taste kind of like mushrooms. You can eat the top stems. And the leaves can be dried and used for tea or brewed into a beer. Alright, if you have watched my videos for very long, you have seen this. This is beautyberry, and it is a Florida native. We see these all along the trails all the time, and they are great food for the birds. The birds will eat the berries. They create a nice habitat. See how bushy the plant is? So animals, small animals mostly, can roost in there or just take cover from predators. And these are really easy to grow in Florida. They're an understory plant, so they do tolerate shade, and they really don't need the best soil in the world, so they're easy to grow. Over here is a wild coffee. Now it's already bloomed, so it doesn't have any flowers on it right now, but it normally has white flowers, little tiny white flowers. And this is a wonderful Florida native for the pollinators. Pollinators just love it. Hi, Ellie. She's protecting the garden. Good dog. Over here, there is a swallow-tailed butterfly. Now he is on a penta, which is not a native flower. But man, the bees and butterflies just adore them. So I keep them. This one is a bush daisy. Beautiful, like ever-bearing flowers. I gotta get him again. Keep scaring him. Ever-bearing flowers. It is not a Florida native. It is Florida friendly, and it's one of the top pollinator plants, one of the top 20. When I first moved in here 4 years ago, I wanted to make a butterfly garden. So I brought in some of the really pretty plants. I started with just a few plants, and I think one of them was the firebush. I'll show that to you in a sec. But we have gone from having just a few butterflies and just mostly monarchs and a few swallowtails to a really diverse group of butterflies. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's totally doable. Find yourself a good native nursery, even if I know, I'm in Central Florida, you might not be, but still, you've probably got a native plant nursery. Go check it out and see what kind of plants that they have for your area. You'll be doing a great thing for the environment and for your yard. I don't have a lot of these in bloom right now, but these are some of my absolute favorites. That is a coreopsis. I think that's how you pronounce it. They are beautiful. I think I have another one over here. Down. He's down in the middle of the eggplants. But they are so beautiful. They've been blooming for months, and I think now they're just taking a little bit of a rest, or I might need to replant them. But I think they'll also reseed. There are a lot of different varieties of these guys. Got another one over here. Lots of different varieties. They're also called tick seed. And these guys are our state wildflower. They're a native flower. Here's my original bush daisy. It is absolutely gorgeous. It always has blooms on it. And the bees and butterflies really do like it. It brings a lot of them into the area. Another amazing butterfly plant is tropical sage. It's also called scarlet sage and blood sage. So it is a variety of salvia. And again, wonderful for the pollinators. The hummingbirds love these guys as well. We love to have hummingbirds in the yard. One of the really fun plants that we have is Gara. It's also called southern bee blossom and whirling butterfly plant. It is so pretty. It comes out on these long stems, and then these flowers will last for one day and they'll drop off, and along the stem there's other flowers that are ready to emerge. So long flowering plant, but looks very wispy, just really pretty. This guy is a host for the white-lined sphinx moth. This guy is growing along the top of my trellis here. And this is a Florida native passion fruit. It's not got the same passion fruits that you normally would see. There's a wasp in there. Ooh, I don't know if you can see him, but there is a ladybug nymph. So we must have some aphids or something. So this is a native Florida variety, and this is a host plant for the Gulf fritillary if it is grown in the sun, which it is down here. But then it's also over here in the shade where the host plant for the zebra longwing butterfly. So don't expect to get big fruits off it. The fruits that they have, actually, right in there, they're tiny. They are not tasty. The birds eat them though. I almost forgot about you. This is a scarlet mallow. These are so absolutely beautiful when they bloom. It's a member of the hibiscus family, and I will put a picture of the blooms. These gorgeous, gorgeous, really vibrant scarlet blooms. Obviously that one hasn't bloomed yet this season, but I took some pictures last season. I've got a few of these growing throughout the yard. They are a host plant for like 5 different butterflies and 4 moths. So scarlet mallow and other mallows are actually in the marshmallow family. And so they used to, in the old days, I think they boiled the roots, and from that liquid they would whip them, and they turned into fluff, and they would use them to feed to their kids and put medicine in if the medicine tasted bad, which medicine always tastes bad. So that's actually the original marshmallow. So I showed you the Florida native. Ooh, hello. Butterflies everywhere. I showed you the Florida native passion flower. Well, this one here is also a passion flower, but this is the kind that gives big fruit. Now it is also a host plant, but it is a little bit invasive. So it's got those beautiful big flowers, you know, the big purple passion flowers. And I am looking forward to having some of that beauty, but it might need to be trimmed back. Cardinal just flew onto the butterfly bush. Look how cute he is. Can't believe he's letting me get so close. Oh, there he goes. Yep. Hello, pretty guy. Aren't they beautiful birds? Now that's a female. It's either a female or a young male. I think it's a young male. He's not showing his full colors. We had, I think, 5 of them, 5 babies this season. And they were so cute, little guys. I have a bird feeder, and they were all around the bird feeder. And then we've got the firebush. We get hummingbirds on this bush probably 3 times a day. They're really beautiful. It's a great attractor for other pollinators, for bees and butterflies. It has berries for the birds. And this one is a host for the Pluto Sphinx moth. So that firebush, I actually, when I first moved here, I was going through the neighborhood walking the doggo and noticed somebody else had this huge firebush that was hanging over their fence. So I took a couple clippings and actually was able to propagate that. Now I've got a couple firebush and they're just doing wonderful. They love the area. Well, what would any butterfly garden be without milkweed? We have a few native milkweeds here, and I've planted several throughout this little garden. The monarchs actually eat them faster than I can get them to grow. So sometimes they will come back and sometimes they just get eaten down to the nub. But yeah, those are a host plant for the monarch butterflies, and we have a lot of monarch butterflies. These are zinnias. They are not Florida natives, but I just had to get the Gulf fritillary butterfly on there. They're so beautiful. They steal my heart. They really do. Oh, Everglades tomato. You are such a rebel. I did not plant this, you guys. This just grew on a boat trailer. And I didn't notice it actually until about a week ago when I saw the ripe tomatoes. It's a very hardy plant, and it can withstand Florida summers and heat, even a little bit of drought tolerance. This guy's never been watered, and it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So the Everglades tomato may or may not be a Florida native. You'd think that it would be because it's an Everglades tomato. Um, but I think it may have been brought over from Honduras, and it just grows really well here, so I think it's been adapted. But there's also, I heard that it may have been developed for Florida by one of the universities. So I couldn't really find a whole lot of information confirming that it is a Florida native, so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. But still, it absolutely grows great here, and it gives little blueberry size tomatoes, and you can use them just like you would normal tomatoes. You can use them in sauce. You can freeze them if you're going to use them for sauce. You can put them on salads and sandwiches, you know, any way that you're using a tomato. They're really good. They're tasty. They taste like a beef steak, but they're tiny. And once you have them, you will always have them. All right, now for one of my absolute favorites. This is actually a rogue. I did not plant this. This is a Seminole pumpkin. See that guy? This, I did plant. I did this one on purpose. But I have these guys growing throughout the yard. But look at these beautiful leaves. Seminole pumpkin has just beautiful variegated leaves, which I don't know that many other squash do. They are super hardy. They can withstand the heat here in Florida. They do like water. They do like water, they do like food, but they're pretty resistant to the vine borers because they spread roots as they crawl along. So even if a vine borer gets them in one place, they've got food coming from the earth because they've got roots everywhere. And they are so prolific. Out of one plant last year, I got close to 60 pumpkins. Close to 60 pumpkins. The Native Americans used to plant them and let them grow up in the trees. I had some growing off the fences last year, which was pretty fun. They are great storage pumpkins. They have a wonderful flavor. They're a little bit sweeter than a butternut, but very similar to a butternut. And you know, you can bake with them. You can do anything that you would normally with a pumpkin. So this guy down here, actually, I could eat him right now. I could eat this little guy. He tastes a lot like a zucchini, and until they get a little bit bigger, they're very tender. So you can eat them raw, you can put them in salads, you can cook them like zucchini, but really versatile, really hardy plant. It may not be a Florida native. There's no conclusive proof that it is, but it works. It works great in a Central Florida garden. These butterflies absolutely love these zinnias. These are not native. They are Will Rogers variety, and they are just so vibrant. This raised bed is always covered with butterflies. The orange flowers over there, those are Mexican sunflowers or red torch tithonias. I always have these. Another one that I've got here, that this particular variety is not a Florida native, but we do have a Florida native, and they look very similar. This is Butterfly Pea. And the butterflies love it, the pollinators love it. So it is an absolute wonderful thing. And it's a climbing vine. It's a climbing vine. So I've actually got it climbing up this trellis as well. Hopefully it will cover the trellis because it is not a beautiful trellis. But look how gorgeous that flower is. So the flowers are edible. You can dry them and use them for tea. I think they have some medicinal value as well. Over here is one of my favorites. Leave me alone. This is tiny right now. This is a Florida cranberry, or a roselle. Again, Florida cranberry, you would think that this was a native plant, but it is not. This will grow into a huge bush, like at least 5 feet tall and like 5 feet wide. And it has flowers that actually resemble okra flowers. They are edible and delicious, and I think all of this plant is actually edible. So you can put the leaves in salad, the flowers are edible right off of there. Once the flowers bloom and the seed forms inside, they have a little calyx that is edible as well, and you can take that, you can use it for jams and jellies, or you can dry it and use it for teas and other drinks. I know one of the popular drinks that people make out of it is, it's almost like a cranberry tea. So delicious, really does well here in Florida, in Central Florida at least. And at the end of the season it dies, and you have to replant for each season, but there are plenty of seeds to save. It's very prolific. So one of my favorites. And probably my all-time favorite plant for the pollinators is this salvia. Unfortunately, I cannot remember what variety this is, but look at these beautiful purple flowers. This is always covered in bees. Honeybees, the wasps love it, the bumblebees. This is just an amazing plant. It's been very hardy. It's survived 2 winters, and it just keeps going. Oh, the hummingbirds love it too. We have hummingbirds on here a couple times a day. So, beautiful plant. If I find the variety, I'll post it. But yeah, I can't find the marker that I planted with it because it's gotten so prolific, and I was not able to remember what variety it is. Miss Ellie, are you helping? Are you helping, girl? She is over here guarding the squirrel food. Thanks for coming along with us today on our little garden adventure. I hope that maybe you learned something about native plants. If you're not in Central Florida, there've got to be some great native plants for you to put in your own yard to increase the pollinators. If you've got a garden, it totally helps the garden. You'll have a better harvest, you'll have a better ecology in your garden, and you'll bring in more beautiful butterflies. So if you like this, there she goes. If you like this, she's helping. She's the big helper. Are you getting them, Ellie? So let me know in the comments below if you've got native plants in your area that you love to grow that work well for you. I'm sure that will help everybody, and just interested to know. Well, if you like this, please share, subscribe, like, and as always, until next time, we hope that you have a great adventure of our own. So I wanted to show you what I'm growing